What's up, people? Jay here. Just got done watching Monday Night Raw, or I guess as we're referring to it now, the Kevin Owens show. And yeah, I guess I can rock with that. After all, the dude is the friggin' champion of the universe. The very least we could do for him is name a damn TV show after him. You know, I heard from a few of my sources that they were actually building this big-ass statue of Kevin Owens on Uranus. So us as Earthlings, we really got to step our game up. Seriously though, Kevin Owens, Universal Champion, the way in which he won that title last week with Triple H returning and interfering in the match, figuratively and literally handing Kevin Owens the title, that was a big fucking deal. And I'm glad to see the WWE effectively played into the big moment that was, because something that WWE has done in the past that's really like chapped my ass is how they have these big moments that happen that should have a reverberating effect throughout many different layers of the company, but they tell the story from such a narrow perspective where they're basically sending the message to the fans like, hey guys, all of this other stuff that's going on all around this, forget about that. That's not important. Here's what is important. We're going to tell you what you should focus on, and they tell it from a very narrow perspective, and they miss out on a lot of the magic that's created in the atmosphere around the story. And I'm glad to see that that's not what they did this time around, because when you tell a story in this way where it plays all of the beats of that story, it's chaotic, it's messy as hell, and it could be awesome. And this opening segment of Monday Night Raw definitely was that. Every single person involved, Mick Foley, Stephanie McMahon, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, tens across the damn board. You had Mick Foley questioning Stephanie and wondering if he could trust her, because they need to have that bond of trust between them to be able to effectively run Monday Night Raw. You take into account all of the story between Seth Rollins and his mama Stephanie, with the authority and him thinking that she stabbed him in the back and him thinking that she's lying to him and all of that great stuff. And let's put the focus on Kevin Owens now. I was a little nervous when I saw him come out there with that suit on, and I was like, ah shit, here we go, this is strike one. Then they actually mentioned the fact that the crowd was chanting "You deserve it" at him, and I'm like, ah shit, that's strike two. But on that third pitch, Kevin Owens knocked it out of the motherfucking park. I fucking love that dude. The way that he took those "You deserve it" chants, he gathered them all up and threw it right back in the friggin' face of everyone in the crowd. I love that, because as much of a fan of Kevin Steen as I am, I'm a story guy. You guys know this. And the crowd chanting "You deserve it" at Kevin Owens last week and this week made no motherfucking sense. No sense at all. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, he deserves what exactly? He deserves to sit in the corner and watch Triple H pedigree Seth Rollins, and he deserves to win his first world championship by pinning someone off of another person's finisher. Like, what the fuck does that mean? He deserves it. That it made no goddamn sense to the story at all. And being in the position that I am, I question, and I said this on PWF Empire Live, I asked this question: if you blatantly ignore the character, blatantly ignore the story, what is pro wrestling then? What is it? And I'm so glad that Kevin Owens, he took all of that and he's like, nah, and he acknowledged it for exactly what it is. You want to create a moment for yourself. That's what you want to do. You want to say that I was in the crowd when everyone was chanting "You deserve it," and that was just such a wonderful moment, and we created that, and we're giving this as a gift to Kevin Owens. He said, fuck that. I hope you kept the receipt, because I don't want it. Boom. And I love that. Then when it comes to Seth Rollins, I wrote a column for NoDQ.com after SummerSlam, and I was looking back at that feud with him and Finn Balor in hindsight, and I was like trying to rack my brain to figure out what exactly went wrong with that match and what went wrong with that feud, to the point where I wasn't really feeling the match when it was playing out. And one of the things was that there was this glaring lack of intensity for Seth Rollins. They played way too much into the demon persona of Finn Balor to the point where they had Kevin Owens walking around like he was on an episode of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego and playing Dora the Explorer and shit. And it just didn't work out because Seth Rollins, he lacked intensity. Like, he lacked this desire for the championship, or he lacked an overall goal, really. And I felt that intensity in this opening segment of Raw. And it added up to some great stuff with Seth Rollins on the mic and all of that fire and that passion that he had. It was palpable, and it added up to an overall wonderful segment. Just so much intensity that I fucking loved it. I loved everything. And I wrote down one of the lines from Seth Rollins. He said, "If Kevin Owens is your champion of this new era, then I'll be the one to burn this new era to the damn ground." Yes. Yes. Friggin' love it. Okay, so let's move on to the rest of Monday Night Raw. Glad to see that they actually remembered that Sami Zayn beat Kevin Owens at Battleground, but I don't know. Like, I wish that them clashing would have been a bigger deal than just what will essentially be a throwaway match on Monday Night Raw. Now, it was a good match, and you can always count on those guys when they get into the ring to turn the fucking party out. And that's exactly what they did on Monday Night Raw. But I know based off of what happened, or at the very least, I'll say there's no indication based off of what happened on Raw that that'll be anything bigger than what it was. A random main event for 1 week on Raw. And that could have been something much more than that. They kind of rushed through that story when there were so many different things that they could have played up off of as far as it relates to that. Elsewhere on Monday Night Raw, we had the women's champion Charlotte losing to Bayley. And she didn't just lose to Bayley. Like, we need to look at the entire situation going on with this match. We have a newcomer to the main roster, Bayley, who was selling an injury throughout the match, defeat Charlotte, a woman who just a few weeks ago proclaimed herself to be the most dominant female athlete on the planet. And when you take all of that stuff into account, I was really confused as to why WWE would go this route in having Bayley pin Charlotte in this situation, especially so early on in her run on the main roster. And I guess that's one of those things that, you know, it's another one of those NXT things where you aren't afforded the ability to really see people go on this journey because they just assume that, hey, the work in establishing this character in this universe, it's already been done. And technically, I guess it has been done, but we don't get starting from the bottom and working their way up. Shit, she's only been on the roster for 3 weeks since she already pinned the women's champion, and with an injury, working through an injury. And I don't know, other than what I thought about the questionable way that this match ended, I don't have anything else to say about Bayley at all. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I'm not saying that that's not a bad thing either, if that makes any sense. I just look at Bayley when I see her, and it's just like, okay. Yep. Alrighty. And, I don't even know what the hell that means. But maybe, you guys let me know what you think about Bayley on the main roster so far. And you type it down in the comments. And maybe when you give me your opinion on what's going on, I'll gain a bit of perspective and start to make sense of the nothingness that I think of when I see Bayley. I don't know. And since I'm talking about the women's division here, let's go ahead and talk about Sasha Banks, who scared me half to fucking death on this show. So she, on Twitter earlier in the day, is talking about bad news. And I'm thinking, is this bad news Barrett bad news or bad news? What the hell is going on here? So she appears on the show, and she's cutting a promo talking about her journey in WWE and the women's revolution, and giving shout outs to a lot of the legendary women wrestlers that we've seen come in and out of WWE, and it seemed as if she was like giving a retirement speech, or at very least a speech where it's like, I'm gonna have to go away for a while, but I'll see you guys later, and this evolution will have to continue at a later date. We're gonna put it on pause, but we're gonna play it, you know, a few months down the line or whatever it may be. And I was like, Lord, what the hell are you doing, Sasha? Like, no, what's going on? And then we had a gift from the heavens in the form of Dana Brooke. When I tell you that I've never been happier in my damn life to see Dana Brooke, it's true. Like, I've never been happy to see Dana Brooke, period. But, you know, I guess there's a first time for everything. And here, I was so glad when I saw her, because as soon as I saw her, I was like, okay, yeah, this shit doesn't work. They're playing us. I've been had by WWE. I've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray. And I was so glad that I actually was, because, you know, I couldn't do without my girl. And she's actually going to be in a women's championship match versus Charlotte at Clash of Champions. So I guess we'll see how that all turns out and how Bayley is incorporated in it, seeing as she just pinned Charlotte on Raw. So I don't know. I guess that's something to look forward to in one of the divisions on Monday Night Raw. I can't really say the same thing for the tag team division, because I look at that and that is a blazing dumpster fire. A hot-ass motherfucking mess. We had Enzo Amore and Big Cass, at least as far as it relates to Enzo. The dude can do no wrong in my book, but when you get so confident in your abilities that you're like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna simulate labor and giving birth in the middle of the damn ring. And that's what he did. And I sat there and I didn't know what to make of that. I'm sorry. I did not know what to make of that at all. I didn't know what to make of the fact that Enzo and Cass were then pinned by the Shining Stars. And I understand work needs to be done in establishing the division and establishing the teams within that division. But no. No. Just no. And then we move on to the other feud going on in the tag team division. The New Day versus the Club. I kid you not. This is not me even making a joke. I forgot the fucking tag titles existed. Like, the feud going into SummerSlam, they cared more about testicles than they did titles. So I forgot the titles even existed. And then when you look at that segment on Monday Night Raw, unfortunately, look at the segment on Monday Night Raw. Holy shit. Like, this new gimmick of the Club where they're basically obnoxious douchebag teenagers, return to sender. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200, because this is some bullshit. Like, I sat there and I watched the segment and I was like, Lord, what is happening? And it went on and on and on. And my God, like, that was bad. That was, as Charles Barkley would say, terrible. Absolutely terrible. And this gimmick with the Club, douchebag, obnoxious teenagers, you know, two of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. An argument could be made that they played similar gimmicks a few years ago when they went through their midlife crisis with DX. But here's the thing. When it comes to that, at least we had nostalgia to fall back on. If all else failed, we got nostalgia in that case. And with this one, we don't have any fucking nostalgia with, or at least I don't, with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows and shit. In the case of Luke Gallows, if there is nostalgia, it's Festus. So I don't know if, you know, playing into nostalgia even benefits them. And, you know, at least with, you know, DX, along with the nostalgia, you also had like an excited delivery. Like they tried to make it as fun as they possibly could. But with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, they have this very deadpan delivery that, you know, I look at that and I'm like, okay, deadpan, emphasis on dead. Kill me now. Kill me now. If that's the only way I can get out of this fuckery, just go ahead and do it. And man, that was, oh my God, horrible. And New Day, they've lost their luster too. They're not as popping as they used to be. Nowhere near it, actually. What else do I have to say about this show? Monday Night Raw overall. As I said in the video that I made last week, the struggle is real for them in a sense that I can clearly see what their booking strategy is. They book from moment to moment, like these big moments that hook you in, and there needs to be more connective tissue on the week-to-week shows, and they need to tell more consistent stories on a week-to-week basis, and I'm not really getting that right now. We got some great moments and some great segments, but I don't feel as if this is a complete product quite yet, and that's something that's gonna need to happen, and I'm hoping that they find a way to do it, but I don't know. Like, you take into account that, shit, how long has Monday Night Raw been? 3 hours, and they've yet to find a way to do it, you know, as of now, and this was before they split the rosters down the middle. Like, they couldn't figure it out with a full roster, so who the hell is to, you know, believe that they can figure it out with the current standing? But I'm hoping that they do, and, you know, if not, I guess I just have to concede that as long, you know, for as long as Monday Night Raw is 3 hours, it's going to be somewhat of a chore to get through. I guess you have to take the what is it, the sour with the sweet? Is that the saying? I don't know. Yeah, but there was a lot of sour on the show tonight, especially in that third hour of Monday Night Raw. I guess the creative team, they were just like, you know what? We acknowledge the fact that this is usually the lowest rated hour of the three, so fuck it. Just go out there and do what you guys want to. Like, maybe I want to give them the benefit of the doubt in saying that they didn't write any of that bullshit that we saw, but then again, I don't want to think the wrestlers are that, you know, incompetent that that's what they came up with, so who knows? Something ain't right here. That's all I know. But at least I'm interested in Kevin Owens and what's going on in the main event scene. That's good. Seth Rollins, his character, I'm very much so interested in how he develops as a face. And then you got Roman Reigns in the mix. I don't know what to think about Roman Reigns either these days. I don't know. Whatever that means. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to end this video. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for my SmackDown review. Until then, peace.